Привет из Дубая. Вами передача «Голубь мира», где разбираем крутые навыки. Спрашиваем на английском, отвечаем на русском. Подтягивайте язык или смотрите перевод в тайм-кодах. Let's talk about worldview and let's start with the definition.
Worldview, this is the way how you look to the mirror, to yourself, to everything which is what is surround you. It's about your hobby, it's about your life, it's about your finance, about your health, about your sanctuary, and so on. If you want to be a person, you could have several choices. First, you could be a very closed one, to live in a shell, or in Russian, there is a saying like blue socks. It's okay to say голубой носок, blue sock, or
That might
синий
be okay to
носок.
say that.
Yes, blue sock. Or there is also another saying which appear after Chekhov write a novel. It is named like "Человек в футляре," man in a box. So you could be a very close one and speak with a limited amount of people who live nearby, who work with you, and nothing more. Another choice, you could be very open and you could be a cosmopolite and work with other companies, speak in other languages, write some articles, publish them in network, to be easy to fly somewhere and so on. But there is also another stage of worldview when you're trying to be helpful, to be creative, to be useful. Okay, you could earn money. Okay, you could be a good worker, but there is a higher purpose also could exist in your life when you think, what could I make for humankind, not just for my family, for my relatives, for my company, but also for mankind.
Immediately in my head, I got a picture the person looking into the world like through certain lenses, which is obviously could be like a different conditions or like a positions, and maybe even the person like they also could look at themselves like who exactly looking at the world, like what are their motives. But when we think about it, like what is the frame of those lens? What might be some sort of like principles or like any fundamentals that actually helps those lenses to stay in one place?
You know, Maxim, several days ago, I have huge support from your side. I wrote an article about how to read 300 books, and you was supporting me in your post in LinkedIn. But there was also 3 threads in Facebook where some people who even know me, they were saying, no, it couldn't be done. Maybe you was reading books for child and so on. And, you know, it was a bit offensive because those people knows me. They were working and they know that I have no holiday, no vacations, and so on. But when I was answering them, I was trying to be polite, and I was thinking, okay, they have another question in their mind. This is not about what have I done, but this if it is possible to make by themselves. The same lens everyone could have. For example, you remember I was telling you about Lawrence James, who was running for 100 days, 100 Ironmans, and it was constantly. Not many people could run just marathon. Not many could take all distance of Ironman or Iron Star even. Iron Star is twice shorter. But this person is unbelievable, and he is the only one who shows us what you could do. There is also one man, I don't like him personally because he is very strange and very rude, but I should admit he is outstanding person. I don't know how to say, maybe you will correct me. Fedor Konyukhov. Is it okay to say?
Fedor Konyukhov,
Fedor
the way it
Konyukhov.
is.
And why he is outstanding? I have been to all huge mountains, and I has a name like Снежный барс, snow cat. I don't know how to say.
Probably
Snow
yes.
Kagor. Snow Kagor. I don't know.
Каковы.
I don't know.
Каковы.
And I am very proud of it. I was diving in all oceans, cities, oceans, lakes, and huge rivers around the globe. I have been to every country, but if I will compare my achievement with Fedor Konnikov, he is much larger. He was trying to cross some ocean or even poles on a balloon. Is it okay to say balloon about воздушный шар?
Yes, this is the balloon.
On the balloon. I couldn't do the same because it's very cold and I will never dare to do it. I was trying to run and swim across some rivers with my hands, with my boats, but I never will dare to swim across the ocean. I am very small person to the comparing to the huge ocean, but Fyodor Konikov can do. And also there is another man, Dale Carnesis, who could run several marathons without any stopping. So he ran up to the start, then he does marathon, and then he ran to somewhere else. So this is always a running man. And you know, when I see or read about these people, I always think this is a man who show how far we could shift our limits of our abilities.
And when we actually, like have this lens, or like even looking into other people, probably they might be like a different dimensions how this lens or even the filter would be set. Like maybe it's like their part in the world, or like the impact that they make, or maybe the area, or maybe the consequences. So what kind of like a different views or colors or tones or semitones we may have or might be aware in order to like understand what is the variety of a different worldviews, at least on a big scale.
You know, when you're working as an employee in a hierarchy, is it okay?
Hierarchy.
Hierarchy. When you're working in the hierarchy, you should understand that you are a small step in a huge ladder, and you always will think that you have just people which surround you. So you never see the people through the walls, but there are a lot of them. For example, your company even 1,000 employees, but outside of your company there is 8 billion people, much more than in your company, and they could do anything. They could create some inventions, they could build some machines, they could look into the future, and so on. You know, this is also very, very funny. It was a time when I was thinking, when I was young, it was about like 10 or 11 years, I just started to learn speed reading, and I was so excited. I was reading books and I was thinking, okay, all inventions already are opened, so there is nothing to discover. And I was a bit sad. I was thinking I couldn't create such a great things as people who wrote this book. But suddenly, when I was like 20 years old and I wrote my first computer antivirus, and then I wrote my Hackers Editor and some other programs, suddenly I realized this is just your worldview to understand that you are already grown up. A lot of people, they think that they are big children. For example, they are like 25 or 30, and they sometimes ask bosses or parents for help. But you know, I was lucky to be born in a poor family. I couldn't ask someone for help. It is not possible to help from some side of my parents. And I start to help them. I start to create some things that my parents can't do. And it was really very important. That was like a barrier. To go through it, you became a grown up, and you became a patriarch. So you're just a person in a family, in a room, I don't know, in a team who could solve the problems. And this will lead you to very, very funny things. You suddenly will realize that inside your bubble, everything is already discovered, and you couldn't create new music, create new poem, to build new stereo, or create some new way of building bridges or architectures. But suddenly, when you will break through this bubble barrier, you will find amazing world which is completely empty, and you should create everything. For example, even now we create School of Troubleshooters. We write first on the planet Bible of troubleshooters. We now create first podcast for troubleshooters in English language. And you know, it's unbelievable, but you are part of something important. This is your worldview.
Well, actually, this was quite interesting to think about the switch that you may want to have, or you might be actually pushed to make, like in your worldview. So maybe we just like can spend sometimes to speaking about this, like how do you usually need to understand, like, okay, this is my box, this is what I see, but like there is something else. Like, do you usually need to figure out like what are the borders and maybe try to see if there's something else, or maybe it could be someone or something that will show you that, you know, like your picture of the world is slightly different. Like there are so many different walls, or maybe other boxes, or maybe not really boxes or worlds. Like, so how exactly the switch between different views should or could happen?
You should understand that you will never found your borders by yourself. They are like a glass made. You have a glass ceiling, glass roof, glass walls, and they are standing from place you are living. Maybe you have like a huge radius, like 1 kilometers or 100 kilometers or 1,000 miles. But anyway, you know, the polite person never will go very close to the fence when you have like a place to live. I don't know how to say, for example, dacha, fazenda, how to say? Cottage.
Villa would be cottage or
Villa.
villa.
Okay. If you will invite some people on your villa, you will find that the most polite person will stand the most time in the middle of your territory, and just unpolite one sometimes will look outside of your fence. The same with knowledge. If you have a knowledge, you will never go to argue with someone. You will never go by debates. You are you do not wish to make that because you have some other important things. But sometimes you will hear from some people, okay, this is impossible to do. No one was doing this. So this means this person which are not polite in our language, they touch by their shoulders sometimes these walls, and they understand they couldn't go further on. So this is the limit. And so you should be like the bet to listen. And if someone will say this is couldn't be done, or this is a record or world record, okay, let's take this stretch, let's take this wizard challenge.
So yeah, it's quite interesting example to use the echolocation in order to, you know, like ping the surroundings and see what exactly will return to you. Maybe there is like another way to go through. And maybe before we wrap this thing up, we can actually speak about maybe the third party or our counter agents that we actually interacting with. So sometimes we probably need to understand what is their picture of the world. So in order to, you know, like achieve certain goals or maybe even change it. So what kind of methodics or like observation things we could apply towards them in order to understand what is their way of thinking and seeing things?
You know, I will tell you a story. This was conducted several decades ago, but I like it a lot. Prof came to the auditorium and put on the table empty jar or can, how to say this, glass bottle to fill the milk, like can,
Jar is a good one.
jar,
Jug
jar.
or jug?
But it should be transparent. Стеклянная банка.
Jug is a good one.
Jug, okay. So Prof came to the auditorium and put on the table jug, and he asked, "Is it okay if I will put something in it?" And he filled it, for example, with huge stones or big, I don't know how to say, tennis balls. And there is no place to put another one, so everything was filled. And he asked students, "Is it okay? Now it is filled." And everyone said, "Yes, now it's filled." Suddenly he put some, I don't know how to say, but baby, nuts, beans, and put a lot of beans in this jar between these huge tennis balls. And suddenly everything was going down. So, and he asked, "Is it okay? Now it is full?" And everyone said, "Yes, it's full." And then Prof takes some sand and put a lot of sand between beans and these tennis balls. And after he asked students, now it is full, and everyone, yes, now it is full. And Prof after this takes some water and pour this water in the sand. And after this he asked, now it is filled. By the way, there is another way how to say this story, but not, you should replace water with beer, and it would be like a moral. There is always place for your life in your life for a beer, but if you will take a water, you could fill your life with some huge deals, what you want to do. Then you could put some smaller, and some small and some small. So you have like several layers. So you could live, you could make sport, you could have love, you have family, you have career, you have inventions, you could write books, you could sing, you could dance, and a lot of things. And you know, this jar, it's a nice picture how to live in this world. There is always some emptiness in your jar.
Well, I guess it's always nice to have like a try to apply it to yourself and maybe like to someone else. Maybe something which is big for you, like a tennis ball, could be just the water for someone else. So it's also good to have a perspective. And my last question will be how knowing about the worldview could help to make this world a better place.
Let's be unpolite, and I will give you an example. Several weeks ago, you wrote several articles, which I think amazing ones. You wrote a huge article about Dubai. You love the city, and you describe it for 100 paragraphs. It's a very huge amount of work, also with photos, also with numbers. The same you do when you write about some kind of algorithm and some other stuff. And you know, not many people will do this without money. Some articles you could find in internet because someone paying for this. For example, some schools for programming, or some I don't know how to say, tourist agency есть, агентство туристические, touristic agency.
Travel agency.
Travel agency. And they are forced to make these articles. But we do it because we can. So we're so powerful, and we have some strength for our families, for our life, and we are agreed to give some our knowledge to other people. And you know, not many people are able to do this. If you will ask someone, everyone will say, oh, I have troubles. I have to feed my family. I have to be похудеть, to
Get lean.
and some troubles. And if you will ask, have you ever tried to help homeless people or animals or child who lost their parents or adult people without sons and granddaughters and so on? And everyone will say, I have no money and I have no time for it. I am doing just what is important in my life. And you know, the scale of what you are doing is scale of you. If you're helping to 5 person, okay, you have 5 star size. But if you help, for example, 10,000 people, you are quite larger per person. And if this 5-star person couldn't be found by aliens through their, I don't know how, visions, but you will be visible as a huge territory of Siberia on our planet, and they will see, okay, this is Maxim Golub.
Мы рассмотрели навык мировоззрения и чем он полезен именно вам. Всем мира!